would like ice on the bottom. I used to work in a cafe or diner as a waitress. My job is your typical food runner and sometimes boss duty if we are understaffed, always. Anyway, one day we had a college group who most were really nice, but one in particular was the clown. He started off with dumb jokes. When I was writing up orders, he responded with "food please" or a cheeseburger without cheese. When asking for drinks, he responded with a nice cup of water with ice at the bottom, with some of his buddies telling him to shut up and waving me an apology. Well, no problem, buddy. You can thank my 7th grade science professor warning us not to lit metal poles when it was cold, a riddle stick like in the movies. I went back to fulfill this specific request to the T. I grabbed one of our milkshake tins, gave it a quick rinse and packed ice cubes at the bottom. I crushed some additional ice and added them, allowing the entire thing to form one solid cold clump, and being cold enough, stuck to the wet interior of the tin. I returned triumphantly, plopping down the tin in front of the fool. Water, ice at the bottom as per dear customer's request. At first he was confused as he was the only one with the metal tin. Then I heard him silently mutter "holy sh," but was cut off by the rest of his group cheer and disbelief that I have conquered his quest. He and the rest of his buddies even took a few pictures of the cup, and before leaving slipped me a personal tip as a thank you. Since then, our diner's special was ice at the bottom as a running joke, and everybody new gets a kick out of it when they see it. Taking a break outside the office was frowned upon. Taking it inside, however, development position, team of 2. One day, Dollar's boss comes to my desk. "We need to talk about your working hours." "Huh, why?" "You've been missing a lot of time lately." "That can't be true. I used to come at hour and leave at hour +8 + 1 hour for lunch." We go to check it out, and it turns out that most of the time is for bathroom breaks, and a few times I left to walk around the office and refresh myself. Bathroom breaks. Are you aware that I have irritable bowel syndrome? Right. Yet the company policy says we are allowed 13 minutes per day. I'll try to talk with HR, but can't promise anything. And about the breaks outside the office, are you aware that I'm quite stressed because I'm lifting most of the weight of the project and needed to refresh myself? Right. Yeah, but that's company policy. Are you also aware that I don't take most of the breaks everyone else takes? Right. Yeah, but that's company policy. So, in the 4 or 6 months that I had left, as I was already looking for something else, but in a more lazy way, my work days started with 1 or 2 hours of listening to a podcast in my station, then a 45-minute break inside the office for food and read a book. Then 1 hour of actual work. Lunch pause. Oh, but I'm having lunch inside. The system automatically adds 45 minutes for lunch if you don't leave, unless I actually leave the office building after lunch. Then 2 hours of work. Then the evening food and read break inside the office. Then 1 hour or so of work in a personal project and read documentation and technical stuff. The best part is that they didn't really notice the drop in productivity on my side. And all because the new boss wanted an Excel with numbers. Well, he got it. And one less developer. I changed the exam rules for everyone. When I was 16, I had to sit EXAMs, which are end of secondary school exams in the UK. One of the subjects I chose to take was French, which included an oral exam, a written exam paper, and a written piece recalled from memory. The written piece could be promoted with a flashcard. This flashcard could not contain something like more than 30 words on there. Now usually that's fine, because we take the flashcard with our prompts and put that on the desk. Underneath the paper we would write on would be the entire script that we then just trace. This worked pretty well until they got it on. So then I realized that they never said anything about pictures or symbols. The entire week before the assessment I'd pretty much created my own hieroglyphs. If there was a less in my sentence, I would draw a man and a bed and so on. The whole script was written out for me, and I ended up getting a better grade overall in my French than my English. Apparently the next year no pictures or symbols were allowed. Military officers aren't always the brightest dot in the military. Every has a military occupation specialty. Cook, infantry, military police, mechanic, etc. Besides your MOS, you sometimes get tasked additional duties. One of those duties is being a driver. Usually, no one wanted to be a driver. All officers in a commanding position have a driver tasked out to drive them around. Usually it's someone low-ranking that the rest of the company won't miss. During my first deployment to Iraq back in 2004, we were assigned to a safe house in the middle of a town. I was working the front gate, where the gate sits on a single rail where the gate slides side to side. We get word that the battalion commander was en route. The convoy stopped at our other safe house first. When they arrived at our location, I opened the gate but the driver of the battalion commander wouldn't enter. I looked at the driver, Private First Class Hermes, and he's just looking at the commander. Let's call him Lieutenant Colonel Einstein. I noticed that LTC Einstein has a full cup of coffee with the lid off in his hand. That's why Private First Class Hermes hadn't moved forward. When LTC Einstein noticed they weren't moving, he looked at Private First Class Hermes and said, "Go." Private First Class Hermes nodded towards his coffee and LTC Einstein just replied with a hurry. So, he did. As soon as he went over the gate rail, the entire HMMWV, military vehicle, jiggled like a fat kid laughing. The coffee went everywhere. And all I heard, in a voice that sounds like Jim Carrey's character in The Cable Guy crossed with the voice of Ernest from all those Ernest movies, "God damn it, Hermes." Soon after, Private First Class Hermes was no longer his driver. Write with blood if I have to. Fine. Requested edit. This took place in Turkey. Long time lurker, first time poster. I'm on PC but English is not my native language. This happened to a classmate of mine, and I was lucky enough to witness it. A couple of years ago in hard school, we were going to take a regular exam for a class I don't remember. The exam was right after our recess. Unlucky for us, the teacher that would supervise us during the exam was one of the worst teachers most of us have ever seen. This teacher was also a sub, coming from another hard school where teachers could abuse students as much as they liked. My hard school had a much higher pay than ours, so she wanted to be a good sub and get hired as a full-time staff. Let's call my friend as Frank and teacher as Karen. We sat down, attendance taken, and Karen gave us the green light to start the exam. Suddenly Frank says "damn it," which gets the attention of Karen, and the following conversation ensues. Frank: "Ma'am, my pencil is broken." He was using a mechanical pencil. "Can I get one from a friend?" Karen: "No, you can't. I told everyone before the exam that I would not allow pencil or erase or swatting. You should have checked it." She said this during our recess time, so unless you came 6 to 7 minutes early you wouldn't know it. Frank: "It was working. It got broken when I was solving the first question. Look, I even wrote my name with it." Karen: "I don't care, not my problem." Frank: "So what am I supposed to do then?" Karen: "I told you, I don't care. Write with blood with you have to." At this point there is a small silence, and Karen has a small smile on her face, thinking she has won over a hard school student and satisfied her ego. In my hard school we had 2 vice principals, and one of them would be checking every exam room at the beginning of an exam to make sure everything is okay, attendance, missing exam sheets, etc. And we had glass walls so you could see outside pretty easily. Frank, spotting the vice principal, is about to enter the classroom. Frank: "Ma'am, can I get up to take a pin from the pin board?" We had one in every classroom. Karen: "What? Why?" Frank waits for a few seconds for vice principal to enter. When she enters, Frank: "You told me to write in blood if I have to. Since you don't let me borrow a pencil from a friend and I don't want to get 0 from this exam, I would like to get a pin to put a hole in my finger and write with my blood." Vice principal is shook, looking horrified and just frozen. Vice principal: "What are you talking about, Frank?" Frank: "Ma'am, my pencil got broken during the first question. I asked permission from Karen to borrow a pencil from my classmates, but she said I can't. She doesn't care what I do, and that I can use my blood if I want to. So I wanted to use my blood to write and not get a 0 on an exam." Vice Principal looks at the class with a puzzled face as we all nodded our heads confirming Frank, and some even say he is right, ma'am. Vice Principal looks mad but won't say anything during an exam in front of an entire class. Vice Principal: Frank, take a pencil from your friend. Of course you can't use your blood to write in any case. If anyone else needs, they can also borrow pencils or erasers. Vice Principal storms off the class as Karen throws a death glare to Frank. We learn a couple of weeks later that Vice Principal adore Karen and won for being so stupid. Karen was overall a very bad teacher and had a ton of complaints about her within just a semester. At the end, she was sent away 1 week before the semester ended. We were already done with the curriculum, so there was no missed material, and of course, she wasn't hired as a full-time staff. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you on next video.